Hi, this is John Lineval, and this is Words to Describe Taste. I'm John Lineval with John Lineval Tutoring, so let's get started. Taste words. From my previous video, root words involving the senses. Gust means taste, gustatory means relating to taste. The gustatory epithelium is the lining of your mouth and your tongue that allows things to get through to the actual taste cells so you can taste things. Disgusting is literally anti-taste, like dis means not or anti, so we can see a kid making a little face of disgust here of something he doesn't like. Words describing taste. Basic tastes are sweet, sour, salty, bitter, savory, or umami. Umami means basically a category of taste in foods. Besides, we see sweet on the front of the tongue, sour on the sides, bitter on the back, and maybe umami is where there's not many taste buds, I don't know. Umami is basically something that corresponds to the flavor of glutamates, especially monosodium glutamate, a savory or meaty flavor. Umami is a loan word from the Japanese umami, meaning pleasant savory taste. Umami is represented by the amino acid L-glutamate and a couple of ribonucleotides. So MSG, monosodium glutamate, is a common food additive, especially in Chinese food, to make it taste better. And I think they put some in baby food until people started complaining that it was dangerous. Food words describing taste and flavor. Acerbic is anything sour, bitter, or sharp. Cutting, caustic, acid, mordant, barbed, prickly, biting, or pointed. So that can also refer to comments. Something that's a nasty comment, a cutting comment, can be referred to as acerbic. The opposite would be mild, sweet, or honeyed. Acid or acidic food can be sharp, tart, sour, bitter, just the opposite of sweet, sugary, honey. Acrid taste can be considered pungent, bitter, choking, sharp, unpleasant, harsh, sharp, cutting, caustic, bitter, vitriolic, mordant, trenchant, sour, tart, sharp, biting, or acerbic. Aftertaste is the trace, hint, smack, relish, or savor that food leaves behind. So if something leaves an aftertaste in your mouth, you're done eating it, and you're going, what's that taste in my mouth? Okay. Ambrosia literally means the food of the gods, so ambrosial means heavenly, savory, delicious, tasty, divine, not disgusting at all. Ironically, many people find the ambrosia salad served at many holiday events in the US to be disgusting. So here's an example of ambrosia salad. It's basically, it's got mandarin oranges and sour cream and some sort of marshmallows and candy. Most people just don't find that very tasty, so it's ironic that it would be called the food of the gods. Appealing food is attractive, mouth-watering, tempting, pleasing, alluring, likable, engaging, charming, fascinating, glamorous. It's never repulsive, disgusting, or repellent. Notice these terms can apply to non-food items or people. Appetite is the hunger, craving, desire. Taste, ravenousness, sweet tooth, thirst, penchant, or passion we experience. When we have an appetite for something, we don't find it repulsive or distasteful because we want it. We have an appetite for it. Appetizer is a tidbit, snack, starter, hors d'oeuvre. Finger food, dip, cold cuts, kickshaw, olives, anchovies, canapes, dim sum, aperitif, roll mops, antipasto, crudités. We might have to open a meal. Okay, kickshaw and roll mops. I've never heard of those before, but here we go. Appetizing is everything we find appealing, mouth-watering, delectable, savory, delicious, palatable, inviting, tantalizing, toothsome, luscious, tempting, tasty, enticing. It's opposed to what we find nauseating, sickening, repulsive, unappetizing, or revolting. Astringent is biting, harsh, sharp, cutting, acerbic, severe, rough, acrid, mordant, and caustic. It's not mild, soft, or gentle. Can also apply to remarks. Okay, an astringent or an acerbic remark is something that's not nice. You might use an astringent chemical on your skin to clean or close your pores. Balsamic, you might also use it to clean a wound or something. Anyway, balsamic comes across as soothing, balmy, mild, gentle, temperate, tranquil, calm. So here we have balsamic vinegar. Vinegar is kind of harsh, but this has been mellowed out a little bit. So it's not irritant or abrasive. Biting taste means caustic, piercing, penetrating. Stinging, sharp, severe, mordant, stinging. It's not gentle, balmy, or soothing. Bitter means acrid, tart, sour, harsh, acidic, vinegary, or acerbic. The opposite of sweet, honeyed, mild, gentle, or warm. Brackish means salty, briny, or saline. So brackish water is salty water. Briny means pretty much the same thing as brackish water. Brine is salt water. Used a lot for making pickles, as we'll see in a little bit. Caustic is something that's cutting, biting, acid, acidic, sharp, astringent, stinging, scathing, or excoriating. To say the opposite, you'd call it mild, sweet, or smooth. Can also apply to remarks. Choice can mean a selection or pick. So, oh, I choose this is my choice. But in relation with food or a lot of other things, a choice steak means something that's superior, excellent, select, top-notch, fine. It should be your choice. Cream of the crop, vintage, prime, not second rate. Remember being in, I don't know, like 9th grade, and I had a number 2 choice pencil, and a kid looked at it and said, huh, second choice? It's a number 2 pencil that was choice brand. So anyway, still remember things like that. Delectable food is delicious, tasty, mouth-watering, appetizing, scrumptious, luscious, enjoyable, palatable, delicious, delightful, toothsome, pleasing, satisfying. It's not tasteless, disgusting, or nauseating. Delicious meals are tasty, appetizing, scrumptious, yummy, mouth-watering, fit for a king, delightful, lovely, wonderful. Again, you wouldn't call it tasteless or unpleasant. Divine cooking is fit for the gods, or maybe the dead actress Divine. I don't know. Anyway, heavenly, godly, celestial, great, marvelous, delightful, lovely, blissful, nothing earthly. Dry food is desiccated, which means dried out and withered like an old apple. Sometimes dry food keeps better, which is why they dried it, like beans and pulses. And I was like, what the heck does pulse mean when it applies to food? Well, a pulse is something like beans, lentils, and peas. So those are definitely things that you normally buy dried out. And then you rehydrate them, boiling in water, steaming it, whatever. And a lot of times you eat things like that with a sauce to give it some flavor. Food with a sharp, biting taste or drink with a high proportion of alcohol is also dry. A dry wine generally has more alcohol than a sweet wine. A little bit of wine trivia: if you're drinking champagne and you want less of a sweet taste, don't get extra dry. Get brut. Brut is drier than extra dry. And food eaten without any spread, sauce, or garnish would be eaten dry. Overcooked meat gets dry, having lost all its juices, which is bad unless you're making beef jerky. Then I guess that's what you want to do. Dulcet is sweet, honey, pleasant in a gentle way. Something in harmony with your taste or likings. It's never harsh. It can also apply to remarks. Dulcet tones would be speaking or singing sweetly. La dolce vita, is Italian for the sweet life. Dulce de leche is Spanish for sweet of milk. I believe that's a dessert in Spanish-speaking countries. Dulcified is what has been made sweeter or softer in taste. Edulcerated, I don't know how to pronounce that. Sweetened, flavored equals seasoned. Food that has been given flavor by normal seasoning or artificial flavoring. Which flavor? Well, any flavor, but by being flavored, it's going to give you some sort of taste experience. We're going to take the train to Flavor Town. Okay, anyway. Flavorful is obviously full of flavor, or you could say flavorsome, tasty, tangy, appetizing, palatable, savory, or sweet, or for a particular flavor. And if you want to try less known words, sapid or saporous. Ooh, those are good SAT words, huh? Sapid or saporous. It wouldn't be flavorless, tasteless, bland, flat, or insipid. Flavoring or seasoning, anything added to food for flavor it imparts, or the act of adding flavor to food. Think of herbs, spices, condiments, seasonings, or some food additives as different flavorings. Flavorsome indicates good tasting, full of flavor, specifically pleasant flavor, implying delicious, tasty, appetizing, scrumptious, yummy, juicy, succulent, heavenly, inviting, luscious, mouth-watering, palatable, saporous, savory, maybe divine, toothsome, and tempting. So you consider flavorsome the opposite of distasteful, nauseating, repulsive, etc. Fruity food has a taste, smell, or flavor of fruit. Anything that tastes or smells richly of or like fruit. A wine full of fruity flavors will probably be considered concentrated, full-bodied, full-flavored, heady, heavy, lusty, mellow, potent, redolent, rich, strong, well-matured. Full-bodied, again, usually applies to wine, means robust, rich, intense flavor, aroma, a wine that's heavy in the mouth. Gamey refers to the flavor or strong odor of game, so meat that's been hunted, especially game that's starting to spoil. It's malodorous, rancid, it's not fresh. More often it applies to other things than food, so you can think of something that reeks. Locker room laundry. Reminds me of a talk show. I saw the comedian, the host, said, oh, this company came out with a deodorant or a body wash called Essence of Sports. He said, well, wait a minute, isn't Essence of Sports what you wash off in the locker room after you're done? Ha ha ha. Gustatory relates to the sense of taste, to the sensation of the taste buds. Harsh is unpleasant to the taste. It's abrasive, coarse. Acerbic, astringent, biting, bitter, caustic, cutting, dry, mordant, nasty, sharp, stinging, and vitriolic. It's not smooth. So you can think of raw alcohol, like whiskey before it's been aged in a charred oak barrel or something like that. It's just really, really nasty raw alcohol. That would be harsh. It's not smooth. Heavenly, considered divine, wonderful, blissful, delightful, lovely, fantastic, glorious, sublime, as opposed to horrible or dreadful. Honey or honeyed, dulcet, sweet, sugar, sweetened, sugar-coated, syrupy, candied. It's not harsh, acerbic, or salty. Hot can mean literally hot, thermally hot, such as burning, scorching, boiling, blistering, sizzling, searing, blazing, torrid. That's thermally hot, or hot as in spicy, peppery, piquant. Very strong flavor that it can actually make your mouth feel like it's burning. That's definitely not cold, mild, soft, or tasteless. Juicy food is succulent, luscious, thirst-quenching, moist, ripe, usually flavorful, many times fascinating. It's not dry or bland, so you can see like these juicy grapes here in the background. Luscious food, we mean juicy, moist food, delicious, delectable food. Scrumptious, succulent, super tasty, toothsome. I've heard of a business called Luscious Garage, which I think it was supposed to be a silly name. Just, I don't know how a garage can be luscious, but anyway. Lush would be a rich, lavish, opulent meal, sumptuous, luxurious. So you can think of lush like an overgrown green lawn or forest or something. So the opposite of a lush meal would be sparse, scanty, or a thin plate of food. Mellow flavor is smooth, rich, full, soft, or melodious, usually a pleasant, full flavor developed by aging. A lot of times it applies to cheese or wine, but it could be used for preserved food, canned food. I've also seen it applied to coffee. There was some product in the early 80s, I remember seeing advertised on TV when I was a kid, that was called Mellow Roast, and it was mellowed with the taste of chicories. Chicory is a root that you use in coffee when you don't have enough coffee. So anyway, that was Mellow Roast. Mouth-watering is savory, flavorful, succulent, gorgeous, delicious food. It's not unappetizing. It's not distasteful. Nectarous can literally refer to nectar. It's ambrosial, delicious, or sweet, something that's like nectar, the drink of the gods in Greek mythology. And obviously, since it's a drink, it's a liquid. You would use it to describe liquids rather than solid food. Any sweet, stimulating drink could be nectar to your lips. Palatable means edible, pleasant, tasty. Basically means just okay, so it's somewhere between mouth-watering and foul. It's not disgusting, but it's not the best food you've ever had either. Peppery, it's strongly tasting of pepper. Piquant, and other ways in which food may be Other ways in which food may be piquant is gingery, spicy, hot, fiery, sharp, stinging, pungent, or somehow lively and strong. Pickled means, briny, salt-watery flavor. That's food preserved in a pickling liquid such as brine, salt water gets. Food can be pickled in many different things: vinegar, salt, spices, whatever, to prevent spoiling. It's one reason vacuum-packed jars of pickles don't need to be refrigerated until they're opened. The other is probably more important reason is because they're vacuum-packed and they were heated, so there's no bacteria that could live through that process, but as soon as you open it, bacteria can get into it. Probably if you put in enough salt or dill or whatever you're using to preserve something, sugar in the case of sweet pickles, you could actually leave the things out. I have been to the Cantor's Deli in Los Angeles where they actually have huge barrels of pickles and brine and dill just sitting right there out in the area where you're eating. Anyway, piquant and salty, savory, spicy, tasty, or zesty are similar words. Also to be considered having a pleasant, pungent taste, hot, tangy, agreeably biting or sharp, never bland or insipid. So insipid kind of means something that is bland, doesn't have to be food, can just be a really bad, stupid conversation or a person who has stupid, bland conversation. So an insipid conversation might be, "Hi, it's a nice day, isn't it?" "Why, yes, isn't it nice that it's a nice day?" "Yes, nice days are nice." That would be a really insipid conversation. Pungent, tastes or smells are strong, spicy, hot, heady, overpowering, sharp, biting, a penetrating taste or smell, or you can take a bit forceful, biting, cutting, caustic, acerbic. Pungent is good when it's an odor that you want to be really strong. It's bad when it's something like dirt or something disgusting. I remember the first tent I ever owned, the instructions said, "Please clean this," and they gave the instructions how to clean it and said, "Failure to follow these instructions could result in a permanently dirty and possibly quite pungent tent." So you don't want a pungent, dirty tent. Rancid Foods, okay, here's Rancid, Out Come the Wolves, name of a punk band. It's a good name for a punk band. Anyway, Food is bale, not bale, bad, stale, rotten, completely off, the opposite of fresh food. If your food's rancid, don't eat it, you'll get sick, just throw it away. Rank means pungent but in the fetid, smelly, foul, stale, rancid, definitely bad way. Offensive to the smell or taste and not fresh. So, if food is rank, again, throw it away. Can apply to anything that literally stinks. The locker room had a rank, gamey odor after the game, or figuratively stinks. The player was obviously a rank amateur because he wasn't any good at it, and he obviously didn't know how to play the game. Or the lawyer objected on the grounds that the witness's testimony was rank hearsay. So it's hearsay not within any exception. Relish from Google. Okay, relish. We can see here we have pickle relish. Well, first, noun can mean great enjoyment. She swigged a mouthful of wine with relish. So it means great enjoyment. She didn't put a bunch of this kind of relish in her mouth and have some wine. Well, maybe she did, but that's not what that means. Anyway, enjoyment, gusto, delight, pleasure, glee, rapture, satisfying, contentment, contentedness. So I remember a Boy Scout master saying, "Oh, you're going to go for it with gusto. Hey, who's gusto? Some German guy. Ha ha ha." Anyway, lame humor from the Boy Scouts. So relish can also be a condiment eaten with plain food to add flavor. So like this pickle relish, or you can use salsa as a relish with grilled meat. Archaic and appetizing flavor, distinctive taste or tinge, the relish of wine. Okay, you can also use it as archaic to make pleasant, to add relish. I also have a novel to relish my wine as a verb. And of course, to relish something is to just enjoy it. So I remember my brother-in-law coming over for dinner one time, and we had some sort of tray of vegetables as a relish, and he said, "Oh, I would like to relish your relish." So, ha ha ha. Rich food is full, heavy, dripping, full-bodied, robust. A rich table is plentiful, abundant, loaded, ample, copious, or stuffed. It's not lacking or plain. Saccharin with an E on the end, saccharine, is another way to say sugary, syrupy, maybe treacly. It's overly sweet and the opposite of bitter. Think of saccharin, the sweetener that was virtually banned in the late 1970s, mostly replaced by aspartame, better known as NutraSweet, and other sweeteners such as Splenda. I think saccharin is still in some medicines and things like that, but generally you don't see it anymore. Saline or salty are self-explanatory as basic tastes. Salty, we know salt. So that can be replaced by briny or brackish if you're dealing with a liquid, because briny and brackish water, they're salt water. Salty food is definitely savory. Saline solution is salt water used in intravenous IV drips. I think it's 0.9% salt, the rest is water. Don't use this as medical advice if you're going to make homemade saline. I don't know why you would, but you should probably talk to a doctor before you do that. Savory has flavor. Which one? Well, could be anything. Salty, spicy, pungent, sweet, aromatic, and flavorful. Maybe that's umami, but the taste would be pleasant and agreeable. Scrumptious means delicious, delectable, mouth-watering, tasty, delicious, lip-smacking, yummy. You can think of the old Nestle Crunch commercials. Scrumptious when it crunches. That's why I love Nestle Crunch. All right, sec is another way to say medium dry, something that's not sweet. It's borrowed from wine. Seco or seca literally means dry. Seco is Spanish for dry cleaning fluid. Laguna Seca is the racetrack, literally means dry lake. So seco means dry, so I guess they just call dry cleaning fluid dry. Sharp means incisive, harsh, sour, tangy, acid. Pungent, tart, or bitter. Sharp food can be acerbic or astringent. Sharp food is not bland at all. Sour is one of the basic tastes. Sour means acid, lemon-like, or vinegary. Tart, bitter, acerbic. Sour food has a sharp, biting taste and is the opposite of sweet. Spicy food has the piquant, hot, fiery, burning taste of spices. We're talking about highly spiced, piquant, zesty food, certainly savory. It can also be described as after the predominant spice, so peppery or gingery food. It's the opposite of mild food. Strong tasting food is highly flavored or seasoned. It has a concentrated flavor. It can be described as intense, pungent, and as such piquant, hot, spicy, sharp. Strong is the opposite of weak or faint flavor. Strong wine, beer, or liquor is high in alcohol. Succulent food is juicy, moist, tender, lush, luscious, also sweet tasting, and the opposite of dry, flavorless food. So sugary or sweet means syrupy, candied, sugar-coated, honeyed, sweetened, sugared, maybe saccharin, so it's not bitter, unsweetened, or sugarless. Sweet and sour, of course, sweet and sour pork, things like that. It's a Chinese specialty, and also said of a dish that has a pleasant taste and a bitter or sharp touch in contrast. Sweetened or syrupy, are other ways to say sweet, sugared, candied, honeyed, sugar-coated. Candying is literally soaking food in sugar syrup until it's coated with sugar and soaked through, just loaded with sugar, loaded and coated with sugar, is one way to preserve food using sugar, because the sugar will kill bacteria that try to get in there. Tang applies to food that has a tart spiciness, also refers to Tang, the orange drink that the astronauts drink. So it's obviously very sweet, but it has a tangy taste from whatever orange extract they put in there. So tang, it's, leaves the tongue tingling after taking the food to the mouth. Flavor, relish, savor, smack, zest, tanginess, piquancy, nip. All of those can be written in place of tang. Bland or dull food is not tangy at all. Tart, sharp, tasting, that is, bitter, acid, acidic, harsh, sour taste, just like a lemon. Sweet, honeyed, and words like that are the opposite. Tasteful food could mean refined, sophisticated, stylish, or classy when it refers to the layout of a dish. So tasteful in that it's stylish. That's the realm of a food stylist. Tasteful can also mean literally full of taste. So you could have tasteful food that tastes really good, but it's laid out in a bad way, so it's not tasteful in the sense of stylish. Or vice versa. You could have very stylishly laid out food that actually doesn't taste like much. So other words that mean tasteless are bland, flavorless, flat, insipid. We already talked about insipid conversations. Weak, dull, savorless, plain, unseasoned, unsavory, unflavored, or unappetizing. So tasting literally means sensing and distinguishing food using your taste buds. A taste will usually mean a small sample of drink, wine, beer, liquor, other drinks, or food. To have a tasting usually means you have small portions of food or wine and you test their quality against each other. Tasty means yummy. Tasty also means delicious, flavorsome, full of flavor. Appetizing, scrumptious, fresh and juicy, succulent, or as KFC might say, finger-licking good. Tasty describes food with bite, piquancy. Zing, zest, and relish. Taste is the opposite of dull, tasteless, disgusting, gross, or nauseating. Toothsome, when you strictly use it, refers to edible and pleasant food, or you could even write tasty, appetizing, or delicious instead, something pleasant to the sense of taste. It often means healthy food, good tasting food that has more than good taste going for it. Words that mean the opposite include inedible, literally something you can't eat, but figuratively just means something you really don't want to eat. Tasteless, literally having no taste, disgusting, foul, or yucky. Treacly means sweet, but overly so, syrupy and saccharine to the point of being disgusting. It can also be described as cloyingly sweet. So to cloy means to disgust or sicken someone with an excess of sweetness, richness, or sentiment. Can apply to things other than actual sweetness. Eating pure sugar would become cloying very quickly. So a romantic, rather cloying story, And the handsome prince went away with a little girl, and they lived happily ever after. Something like that. That's cloying. Unsweetened means no added sugar, no added sweet flavor. Probably sugarless, plain, or bitter in taste, but not always. Unsweetened tea is not to everyone's taste, but most people like unsweetened fruit juices since there's no need to add sweetener to something that's already sweet. Antonyms are unsweetened, include sweetened, sweet, saccharine. Sac means sweet, so syrupy. Polysaccharide would be a starch. So anyway, vinegary food or drink is something like wine that started to go bad. It's literally turning to vinegar. Makes sense, right? You can also describe it as acetous. Vinegar is acetic acid, so you can see where they got that word. Sour, acid, acidic, tart, astringent, pungent, harsh, acrid, never sweet. Yummy, this is an informal kid's word. If English isn't your first language, please know that you shouldn't use that in formal writing. Even if English is your first language, please know if you're writing something formal, don't use yummy, or at least put it in quotes if you're going to use it. So scrumptious, delicious, delectable, luscious, great tasting, appetizing. Probably wouldn't use scrumptious in formal writing either, but that's just me. Anyway, so these are the things you want to hear when the food's coming to the table. You want to hear it's yummy, it's delicious. The opposite of yummy would be yucky. Again, that's kind of a baby word. Don't use it in formal writing. Unpalatable, plain tasting, distasteful, or disgusting. Zesty food has a vivid, spicy, piquant, utterly savory flavor. It stimulates and wakes up your taste buds. The opposite of zesty would be soothing, dull, or bland. All right, did you find this video useful? If you did, please like and subscribe to this channel. Please click on the little bell to get notifications about my new videos. Why do I care? Well, it's simple. YouTube doesn't let me share any ad revenue unless I have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours. That's 240,000 minutes of view time in a year. While many people are watching these, I don't have 4,000 hours of view time this year, and I still don't have anywhere near 1,000 subscribers, although I'm getting more every day, and big thumbs up to you subscribers out there. For the same reasons, you're not only welcome, but encouraged to share links in this video, put in playlists, etc. And I'm always happy to read and respond to constructive criticism, and I'd love to hear your suggestions for new videos. I do reserve the right to delete comments from and block those who specialize in destructive criticism. You know, trolls, haters. Hey, haters are going to hate. And things that are off topic, spammers, disturb people. If you'd like to contact me, you can always call me on my cell phone, 415-623-4251. You can send me a text message to that same number. You can email me at john@johnlinneball.com. You can mail me at 1859 Powell Street, number 109, San Francisco, California, 94133. And thanks for watching. Have a good day.